A multi-hazard weather event is unfolding across the United States. Tornadoes, flooding, heavy snow, and next week, an Arctic outbreak. Let me show you what the data says. The National Weather Service has issued multiple watches and warnings across 15 states. This is a significant system, not unprecedented, but significant. Let me put this in perspective with some historical context, then we'll get into the details. The severe weather setup today resembles patterns we've seen before. Not quite as intense as the super outbreak of April 27, 2011. Not as widespread as the November outbreak of 2005. But similar in character, warm, moist air colliding with a strong weather system, wind shear in place, instability building during the afternoon. If you lived through those events, you remember them. You know what real severe weather looks like. Today doesn't reach that level. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being a major outbreak, this is a 3, maybe a 3.5. It's winter, severe weather, less intense than spring outbreaks, but still capable of producing tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk from central Alabama back to southeast Texas. Marginal risk extends from Kentucky to Houston. This is their second tier on a 5-tier scale. It means scattered severe thunderstorms are expected, with a few tornadoes possible. Let me walk through the meteorology. We have a surface low-pressure system tracking across the central United States. To the south of this low, warm air is surging northward from the Gulf of Mexico. To the north, cold air is in place. The boundary between them, the cold front, is where severe weather develops. Wind shear across the deep south is favorable for rotating thunderstorms. We're seeing 20 to 30 knots of wind shear in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. That's enough to support supercells. We also have adequate moisture, dew points in the 60s across the Gulf Coast. That provides the fuel. What we're missing is ideal storm mode. There's too much convection already ongoing. It's messy. The surface low isn't in the perfect position. The upper level dynamics aren't quite lined up. That's why this is a slight risk, not a moderate or high risk. But even on slight risk days, tornadoes occur. The March 2, 2012 outbreak was a slight risk day in parts of the affected area. It still produced dozens of tornadoes, including several strong ones. The rating doesn't tell the whole story. It tells you the probability, not the ceiling. Timing today. Morning hours, the tornado threat is low. Too much ongoing precipitation, too much cloud cover, instability is suppressed. But starting around 1 this afternoon, that changes. The convection lifts northward, sunshine breaks out along the Gulf Coast, at least in patches. Surface temperatures rise, instability increases. The low-level jet strengthens through the afternoon and evening. By 3 or 4 this afternoon, winds at 3,000 feet could be 40 to 50 knots from the south-southwest. At the surface, winds are lighter and from the southeast. That difference, that turning of the wind with height, is wind shear. That's what makes storms rotate. Peak tornado threat is 3 to 7 this evening. The environment will be most favorable during those hours, but the overall threat window runs from 1 this afternoon until midnight. After 10 tonight, the risk decreases inland but persists near the coast. 2 areas concern me most. First, within 50 miles of the Gulf Coast from New Orleans to Mobile, supercells will develop in this zone this afternoon. They'll have access to the best moisture, the strongest low-level jet, and enough instability to sustain themselves. These storms can produce all hazards: tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds. Second, from Houston north and northeast into far east Texas and western Louisiana, this area sees storms develop by mid-afternoon. Initially, they'll be elevated, but they'll become surface-based as the afternoon progresses. Once they connect to the surface, they gain tornado potential. Compare this to the Dixie Alley tornado events of recent years. February 5th through 6th, 2008, April 27th, 2011, April 28, 2014. Those were all more significant than what we're seeing today. Those had stronger upper-level support, better low-level jet, more favorable storm mode. Today doesn't reach those levels. But it's still a day that requires attention. If you're in the threat area, you need to be weather aware. That means having ways to receive warnings. Weather radio, phone alerts, local television, don't rely on just one method. Know your safe place. Many of you have been through tornadoes before. You know the drill. Interior room, lowest floor, away from windows, basement if you have one. Put a flashlight in that space. Put shoes there. Have a phone charger there. Make it ready now, not when a warning is issued. For those who haven't experienced a tornado, understand that they can develop quickly. Modern warning lead time averages 13 minutes. That's not much time. You need to know your plan in advance. Practice it, especially if you have young children or elderly family members. Tomorrow, Saturday, severe weather continues, but at a lower intensity. Marginal risk from Southern Virginia to the Florida Panhandle. This is the lowest tier of severe weather risk. Isolated, damaging winds and hail are the main concerns. Brief tornadoes are possible near Atlanta and far western North Carolina, but the risk is lower than today. Most of Saturday's severe weather occurs during the morning and early afternoon. By mid-afternoon, things should be winding down. If you have outdoor plans Saturday afternoon or evening, the weather should cooperate in most areas. Rainfall totals. This system is producing significant precipitation. The Weather Prediction Center has issued a slight risk of excessive rainfall from northern Georgia through Mississippi and into Louisiana. That's their way of saying flooding is possible. Forecast rainfall amounts are 2 to 5 inches widespread across this region. Central Mississippi and southern Alabama could see 3 to 5 inches, with isolated locations up to 7 inches. That's a lot of rain in a 24 to 36 hour period. Compare this to recent flooding events in the South. The May 2010 Nashville flood, the August 2016 Louisiana flood. Both of those saw rainfall amounts exceeding 10 inches in spots. Today's event doesn't approach those levels. But even 5 inches of rain can cause flooding, especially when it falls quickly. Flash flooding is most likely this afternoon and evening. That's when the heaviest rain falls. Urban areas are vulnerable because storm drains can only handle a certain rate of runoff. Rural areas near streams and creeks are also at risk. Water rises quickly in small watersheds. If you encounter a flooded road, turn around. Every year, more than half of flood deaths occur in vehicles. People try to drive through water, the vehicle stalls or gets swept away, and they drown. 6 inches of water can knock you off your feet. 12 inches can move a car. Don't risk it. Snow and winter weather. The high plains are seeing significant snow right now. The Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, southwestern Kansas, southeastern Colorado, heavy snow is falling. This is a classic late-season winter storm for that region. Forecast snow totals for the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles are 6 to 10 inches. Southeastern Colorado, especially the higher elevations, could see 10 to 14 inches. The mountains need this snow. Ski resorts have had below-average snowfall this season. This helps. The snow spreads northeast tonight and Saturday. Kansas City sees snow tonight. Chicago, Milwaukee, and northern Indiana see it Saturday morning. Michigan continues seeing snow through Saturday evening. But for most of the Midwest, this isn't a major snowstorm. Chicago area, northern Indiana, northern Illinois, we're looking at 1 to 2 inches at most. Maybe 3 inches in isolated spots. It's enough to make roads slick, enough to reduce visibility during heavier bands, but not enough to paralyze the region. Compare this to recent Midwest snowstorms. The February 1st through 2nd, 2011 blizzard. That brought 1 to 2 feet of snow to Chicago. The January 31st, 2015 blizzard. That brought 10 to 15 inches. Today's event is much less significant. The two areas with substantial snow are northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan. 5 to 10 inches widespread is possible there. If you're in those areas, this is a legitimate winter storm. Prepare accordingly. Winter driving hasn't changed. Physics hasn't changed. Tires need traction to grip the road. Snow and ice reduce that traction. Therefore, slow down. Following distance needs to increase. Bridges freeze before roads do. These are facts, not suggestions. Emergency supplies in your vehicle. Blanket, water, food, flashlight, phone charger. If you get stuck, those items keep you alive until help arrives. Every winter, people die because they left their vehicle and tried to walk for help. Don't be part of that statistic. Stay with the vehicle. Shoveling snow causes heart attacks. That's a documented medical fact. Heavy snow, cold air, physical exertion. It's a dangerous combination, especially for people over 60. If you're in that age group, if you have any cardiac history, hire someone to shovel. Your life is worth more than $50. After this system clears Sunday night, we transition to the next pattern. Monday should be relatively quiet. But by midweek, the pattern shifts dramatically. The jet stream dips, Arctic air spills southward. And I mean significant Arctic air. Forecast models are showing temperatures 20 to 25 degrees below normal by Thursday and Friday next week. Some locations could see even colder anomalies. This Arctic air mass could reach the Gulf Coast. That creates potential for winter weather in areas that rarely see it. Compare this to recent Arctic outbreaks. The polar vortex of January 2014, that brought record cold to the Midwest. Wind chills of 30 to 40 below zero. The Arctic blast of December 2022, that caused widespread power outages and burst pipes across the South. Next week's event may not reach those extremes, but it's in the same category, significant cold. Well below normal temperatures, potential for winter precipitation in unusual locations. The GFS model shows a wintry mix across Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, and northern Louisiana around January 18th or 19th. The European model is less aggressive but still shows very cold air. These models don't always agree on details, but when they agree on the overall pattern, that's meaningful. Ice storms are possible. Ice is the most dangerous winter weather hazard. It accumulates on power lines, bringing them down. It weighs down tree branches, causing them to snap. Roads become impassable. You can't drive on ice, period. Even experienced winter drivers can't overcome physics. The January 2021 ice storm in Texas paralyzed the state, millions without power, hundreds died, burst pipes, failed infrastructure. That event occurred because Arctic air reached the Gulf Coast. Next week's pattern is similar. I'm not predicting the exact same outcome. Infrastructure has been improved in some areas. Preparedness has increased, but the weather pattern is similar. And weather doesn't care about improvements. Cold air is cold air. Ice is ice. Preparation for next week. Make sure you have ways to heat your home if power fails. Fireplace, wood stove, propane heater with proper ventilation. Never use generators or grills indoors. Carbon monoxide kills. Stock up on food, non-perishables that don't require cooking. If power fails, your refrigerator stops working. Have a manual can opener. Have water. Fill bathtubs if a storm is imminent. City water can fail. Wells require electricity to pump. Protect pipes. Let faucets drip during extreme cold. Open cabinets under sinks to let warm air circulate. If pipes freeze, don't use open flames to thaw them. Use a hairdryer or heating pad. Burst pipes cause thousands of dollars in damage. The data I'm using comes from the National Weather Service, NOAA, the Storm Prediction Center, and the Weather Prediction Center. Model guidance includes the NAM, GFS, and European models. The NAM has the highest resolution but only extends a few days. The GFS and European provide longer range guidance. All models have uncertainty. That uncertainty increases with time. A forecast for tomorrow is quite reliable. A forecast for next week is less certain. A forecast for 10 days out is the overall pattern, not specific details. Anyone who claims perfect accuracy beyond a few days is overselling. But when multiple models consistently show a pattern shift, that's significant. We're not talking about differences between rain or snow. We're talking about a major pattern change. Arctic air, well below normal temperatures. Winter weather potential in unusual locations. Compare model forecasts from previous Arctic outbreaks. The models showed the polar vortex of 2014 several days in advance. They showed the cold blast of 2022. They weren't perfect on every detail, but they captured the overall pattern. That's what we're seeing now. To summarize, Today, severe weather across the deep south, tornado threat from 1 this afternoon through midnight, peak hours 3 to 7 this evening, heavy rain through Saturday morning, flooding possible in Mississippi and Alabama. Snow tonight and Saturday in the Midwest, mainly affecting Kansas City, Chicago, and Michigan. Arctic blasts next week with potential winter weather in the south. I'll update tomorrow morning. If severe weather develops as expected today, I may go live. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications enabled. You've seen weather before. You've survived other events. This one is manageable with proper preparation. Just take it seriously and don't take unnecessary risks. Stay safe.